From ibmtv International Broadcast Media, this is your report from Washington. 1 dozen days left to crack this election open. As election day comes nigh, Biden leads Trump by sizable margins on all the major issues, according to a national poll by the New York Times and Siena College. With only 2 weeks to go, there's little time for Trump to catch up. The gaps include a new multi-trillion-dollar stimulus program, mandatory mask wearing, and a $2 trillion renewable energy package. Voters are also now evenly split on who will better manage the economy. From the numbers, Biden is favored to handle the COVID crisis by 12 points. 51% of voters said the worst of COVID was still to come. 59% of voters support a national mask mandate. 72% of voters sampled, including 56% of Republicans, said they backed the Democrats' $2 trillion stimulus package that House Democrats have been trying to get approved. Voters prefer Biden over Trump to choose Supreme Court justices by 6 points. 66% of voters support Biden's $2 trillion renewable energy and infrastructure stimulus package. The big picture, 50% of voters are backing Biden versus 41% that support Trump. Voters see Biden as more capable of uniting the United States by nearly 20 points. Biden is ahead of Trump among female voters by 23 points. Trump's effort to tarnish Biden's personal image have backfired and hurt him among swing voters. 53% of voters said they view Biden in favorable terms, while only 43% say the same about Trump. It seems that only election shenanigans can turn the tide. But wait, no, not again, yes. Again, Iran and Russia have obtained voter registration information that can be used to undermine confidence in the U.S. election system. Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe announced at a press conference Wednesday evening. Ratcliffe said Iran has sent threatening emails to Democratic voters this week in states across the U.S. and spread videos claiming that people can vote more than once. Voters in Florida and Alaska reportedly received threatening emails claiming to be from far-right groups. Local law enforcement and election officials turned the emails over to federal authorities. Ratcliffe said, quote, "First, we have confirmed that some voter registration information has been obtained by Iran and separately by Russia. This data can be used by foreign actors to attempt to communicate false information to registered voters that they hope will cause confusion, sow chaos, and undermine your confidence in American democracy. To that end, we've already seen Iran sending spoof emails designed to intimidate voters and incite unrest. Additionally, Iran is distributing other content to include a video that implies individuals could cast fraudulent ballots even from overseas." In other news from the New York Times, 7 countries, 7 days, more than 100,000 cases each. The Times looked at Argentina, Brazil, Britain, France, India, Russia, and the U.S., where large numbers of new COVID cases over the past week have helped push the global tally to more than 40.7 million cases. In the U.S., there have been 421,114 new cases over the past week. Midwestern and Rocky Mountain states are struggling to control major outbreaks. Alaska is seeing record case numbers too, adding to evidence that COVID thrives in cold weather. In world news, Pope Francis voiced support for same-sex civil unions, his strongest statement yet on the issue, and an apparent break with the church policy. Quote, "What we have to create is a civil union law. That way they are legally covered," end quote, Francis said in the documentary that premiered on Wednesday, reiterating his view that gay people are children of God. Quote, "I stood up for that." End quote. The remarks from the leader of the Roman Catholic Church could shift debates about the legal status of same-sex couples in nations around the globe and unsettle bishops worried that the unions threaten traditional marriage. It's now open war. Azerbaijan is in full war mode as it engages in heavy fighting over the disputed territory of Nagorno-Karabakh, an ethnic Armenian enclave. When clashes broke out 3 weeks ago, the country plunged into fighting to reclaim the lands it lost. Azerbaijan has not released numbers of military casualties, but funerals are underway. In a sign of the times, the Norwegian official responsible for daylight savings time apologized for adding an additional hour to what has, quote, already been a very demanding year, end quote. Iselin Nybo, whose duties as Minister of Trade and Industry include implementing daylight savings time, said the clocks will be set back an hour Sunday morning in accordance with the traditional time change. Quote, "As Minister of Time, I strongly regret that 2020 will be another hour longer. This has already been a very demanding year for many," end quote. Finally, the current COVID death toll from Johns Hopkins is over 221,987 American souls lost and 1,129,185 global souls lost with no vaccine in sight. That is your report for October 2020. From IBMTV International Broadcast Media, smart television for a smarter global community. From dictatorships to democracies around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. I'm Bill Trezevant.